Hey, beautiful people. I wanted to drop a video before I take my leave on Friday for midwinter break. And I want to share some thoughts and a energy insight and oracle card draw, weaving in some magic that you can cast upon your cards um, with an intention as we close out 2025. So I want to weave all those things together. But I want to gently speak about this. Now, people ask me, so Shane, what do you celebrate at this time of year? I celebrate life. I celebrate life and celebrate light. I celebrate. There you go. I nearly said that. New words and language forming. Spirit did say this is this is not just going to be a new page, a new chapter, a new book's going to be a whole new fucking paradigm. Now we're talking about spell-a-brate, right? So celebrate, and it come out as spell-a-brate. Love that. It's a whole new language being reformed. So what do I celebrate? I celebrate life and the light. I get Christmas, right? I get Christmas, kind of, right? Kind of. Yeah, I celebrate midwinter. I celebrate solstice now instead, and that was a transition over the years. But let's get this straight, right? Let's get this straight from the word go. I'm no Scrooge. I'm no Scrooge. I kind of love Christmas, right? The twinkly lights, the feasting, the coming together. It's basically one time of the year the world collectively remembers the importance of connection with each other. Humans sharing time with other humans, which has happened since the beginning of time. We've gathered together at this time around fires, we've feasted and we've shared stories, bonding with each other and the community through the darkest part of the year. That's as old as time itself. So I get that, but that said, right? So that said, has anyone else noticed the whole consume all the things vibe has absolutely fucking well lost the plot? Somewhere along the way, we were sold the idea that more stuff equals more joy. Spoiler, it fucking well doesn't. I live a stone's throw from a really huge retail park, and alongside that, so much open green space. I'm like in between these two spaces. That's where I find myself, in between the worlds, right? And that retail park on weekends now, the queue goes 2.5 miles down the road to get into the fucking place, right? It's like, what the heck? What the heck is going on there? So people, we're rushing, we're stressing, we're overbooking, we're overbuying. When did we forget that winter was literally designed for slowing down, reflecting, and chilling the fuck out? That's what winter's gift was, for us to come together. Listen, we've shared gifts. We've shared gifts since the beginning of time. Gifts that have been crafted, created, woven, made, forged. We've done that. I've got a really beautiful antler handled knife. Etched into it is reindeer, which is really important medicine story for me. In this beautiful handcrafted leather sheath, and that gift would have taken time to craft and make. I know of a lady who was gifted a patchwork blanket that was handed down, and it had then got lost to time for a while up in an attic, and then she spent 3 winters repairing that patchwork blanket and sewing another layer to it, and then she gifted it to her daughter. It's like 3 winters that took. So when you're giving gifts of that nature, they're alive. they're alive. So, that thing of rushing, stressing, overbooking, overbuying, when did we forget that winter was literally designed for slowing down? Our ancestors were onto something with the winter solstice and midwinter, celebrating the return of the sun. And for me, that makes complete sense. That is something absolutely worth celebrating. Um, and the lengthening of days, something so worth celebrating, and the quiet promise of new life. And all this seasonal magic started as sacred time, not a shopping endurance event. No, for me, shifting my celebrations to honour the light has changed everything. It's actually been really life changing. I feel I'm able to show up as my more deeper, authentic self, and I absolutely fucking celebrate that for a start. you know. So for me, shifting my celebrations to honour the light has changed everything. It's been life changing. I make friends with the dark, connect more deeply to the land and its stories. And alongside that, I create some beautiful stories. Turns out rest is quite inspiring, in fact. I deck the nook out with greenery, light fires when we can, with good people, share stories, eat well, and focus on what actually matters. Quality time with warm hearts, going where the fire is the warmest. And I even invite some of my neighbours in on what would be Christmas Eve to say thank you to them for being the most incredible neighbours, and I gift them the story that I would have wove within our Yuletide special. Invite them in some mulled wine and mince pie, and I gift them the story and just say thank you. Thank you for all of what you've done over this last past year. Those things just feel really, really special and important to me. So quality time with warm hearts, no stress, no pressure, just space to pause, to reconnect, and feel into what I want to carry into this next cycle. That feels really important as well. So intentionally to pause and reflect and reconnect to what I feel I want to carry into this next cycle. So, Merry Midwinter, Happy Solstice, or whatever flavour of magic, winter magic, you are celebrating at this time. Yet before I take my leave on Friday, I have an energy insight and a tarot pull with some simple yet punchy little bit of magic for you to cast upon your very own cards this midwinter. So let's tune in for a second. I get a sense as we close out this year, there's going to be an even greater unravel. A lot of people are noticing that the stuff they thought they'd made peace with is suddenly back on the table. Old patterns, old wounds, old dynamics just coming up. They're being absolutely freaking illuminated. Think what Spirit said is it's a whole new paradigm. That old stuff needs to be alchemized. The other thing Spirit said, only what is true can be reborn at Winter Solstice. So there's a lot of stuff, coming up to clear the last stubborn threads. Think final boss round, but with feelings. And this isn't regression, it's not going backwards, this is detox and purge. We've also alongside that got a thread of the collapse of the pretend. Masks are slipping. The stuff I've seen in the last week or 10 days, stuff that people around me have illuminated as well, has been really incredible and actually very life changing. I think it's really, really important that we continue to discern and know this. Not everybody that holds a candle is nice. Okay, collectively, people are losing the ability to tolerate anything that isn't real. Okay, fake connections, fake productivity, performance spirituality. All right, that's something that is feeling very, very clearly illuminated. Performance spirituality, okay, fake connections, anything that isn't real, surface level relationships. December has this energy of like, I am done pretending, energy written all over it. It's like non negotiable, okay? And boundaries, they are turning into non negotiables as well. Uh, it isn't loud, but it will feel like that. That's Holly magic as well. Holly is a boundary. And it's not just setting boundaries, it's body level refusal, non negotiable. And I can feel that coming up with some stuff for me as well, especially around what is real and what isn't, or with um, bypassing. Just like no, 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 because some of that can be really confusing. Like someone throwing like a, a weird curveball, but smiling at you as they do it. You know, it's like really, it's really important that we trust how we feel when we're around people. Okay, so a lot of folks will feel a sudden, almost visceral no to things that drain them, jobs, people, obligations, identities that is squiffy, right? You just feel it like a sudden, almost visceral no. Things are stripping back. There is a rawness, but also a clean, clarifying power here. Like things are just getting illuminated, or people around you that really care are illuminating it with you and beside you. Um, which is really, you know, that those are the people, that you lean into. As Spirit said, you go where the fire is the warmest. Um, because there's so much stuff we could unpack around that. Quiet initiation energy that doesn't feel always quiet, but underneath all this stuff that's moving, underneath the chaos, there is a subtle hum. I can feel it, like a candle being lit in a dark room. A sense of something new forming, but it's like at its seed state, embryonic, too fragile right now to name, but it is there forming. January, February feel like first light, not full sunrise. There you go. January and February feel like first light, not full sunrise. As Bridget often says, it's the stirring as you come out of the winter dreaming. Okay, it's the stirring of the awakening coming out of the winter dreaming. The other thing that's going on, and this is how we really serve, is by tending to our nervous systems, especially at this time of year. The collective nervous system reset. Many people are shifting from hustle, survival mode into something more nourishing, nurturing, regulated, and intentional. And I think what a gift we are being presented with right now to actually say, do you know what? I'm going to reshape this Christmas and I'm going to do things differently. Um, you know, because we've gone through so much, like as Spirit was saying earlier on, overbooking, overbuying, overspending energy as well as resources. It's just overreaching, you know, so it can feel like exhaustion, disorientation, a sense of needing more rest than usual, feeling weirdly emotional or wanting to cocoon. This isn't burnout, it's your system recalibrating for a very different rhythm that is coming in 2026. Okay, something that feels very different for what's coming in 2026. I think it's going to be slow, nourished, steady, a sense of that awakening in so many people. Then we've got fated encounters. I'm seeing that as well. The fated encounters window spirit I've been talking about. Like there's this little karmic doorway opening up right now that's been running between Samhain and Winter Solstice. This karmic doorway opening up. People crossing paths where they exactly need to be and who they need to be. Mentors, collaborators, partners, reconnecting with soul family. These are the threads that will matter next year, and I'm seeing that within my own world too. And that is really, really powerful. The story that I'm going to drop on Friday, Holly and Mistletoe, the Gypsy Fire, is all about chance encounters and a very twist on those midwinter ghost stories. Okay, so I'm dropping that on Friday. So what's coming? 2026 feels like a year of bold moves but clear intention. We're leaving dramatic chaos behind. Not explosive new beginnings, more like steady, grounded but powerful shifts. The phrase that I keep getting is choose the thing that costs you your fear, not the thing that costs you your soul. Meaning, lean into those things that are uncomfortable, that unsettle you, that stretch you, that grow you. Okay, but it is, other things become non-negotiable. You're not going to absolutely sell your soul. Okay, really, really important. Or leave yourself buried or obligated or just burn out. You know, be aware where your energy, your time, your attention goes and who has what. Okay, we're stepping into a year where authenticity is the only currency that doesn't devalue. I think that speaks volumes to me in so many ways, and we could unpack that. Maybe we will in the early part of the man-made New Year in January. We're stepping into a year where authenticity is the only currency that doesn't devalue. We'll look at that. We will explore that. Yeah. So here is the Oracle card. I feel we're going to work with these because these are lovely. The Art and Soul Oracle deck. Let's just drop them there. So a bit of a long one, this video, but hopefully it's taken you on a journey, and love to hear your thoughts, and a merry, merry midwinter, a bright solstice, and a peaceful Christmas to you all. I'll still be here up until Friday, still weaving consultations in the background and weaving some beautiful work with some really incredible people. So 3 knocks, 1, 2, 3. I draw this card at the door of time with fool's courage and the star's soft hand. Tarot in sight, an oracle card spell. I step forward, not rushed, not afraid. The threshold knows my name. So read and turn, so it is. Where endings lean into beginnings. I stand between what was and what waits. By candle low and the longest night, by turning wheel and watching stars, by holly's guard and winter's crown, what no longer serves stays with the dark. What is meant for me, find me gently, no ill may follow where I go now. Smoke, carry prayers I cannot name, spiral them safe through the dark and flame. I draw this card at this year's deep door, not to be told, but to remember. What leaves, leaves clean. What comes, comes true. I cross protected, marked by light. The hearth remembers, the path opens. So read, so keep, so begin. Let's pull. I'm just going to pull that. That feels to be the card that I want. This absolutely is iconic for Winter Solstice. Look at that. The stag. Now I've got a question for you. What does the stag mean for you? What is this being saying to you? How is it communicating, and what is its message? The key word is ancestral. This for me makes huge sense. Something I share with you come 2026 for what is coming down the track for me. But this is absolutely beautiful. How does it speak to you? What is the stag's message to you as we approach Winter Solstice? You cannot get any more iconic than that, really. That is Midwinter right there within this card. So I wanted to hop on, say in person, thank you for every one of you that have shared time with me over this last year, if that be in a consultation or email consultation, within a correspondence, within a soul alchemy journey, within our special evenings, messages from beyond, or a Yuletide special that's just passed. However we've shared time, I am blessed by your presence. And for those of you that are going through a difficult time, to know that you are woven into our prayers each evening, as we move up until midwinter. We've been moving a candle on an advent wheel, an advent spiral, and each night and each morning just move that, one or two, move that candle along that spiral and weaving a prayer until it reaches the center. And then once it's reached the center, it stays still for 3 or 4 days, and then we start spiraling out as the sun starts to slowly get higher as it returns, and then spirals out. And each time I weave a prayer for our beautiful collective community. In the words of the author who wrote that incredible book, Women Who Run With Wolves, in her words, as it is for me, as it is for you, and as it is for all of us. So woven blessing upon you all, and it's been a real heartfelt pleasure. I'll say my goodbyes, and look out for that story being dropped on Friday. And it's been just an immense honour to serve this year, in a year that has been all about rupture and breakthrough. It's been the year of the snake, so much shedding, but we're moving into Fire Horse. And what comes to mind is I keep feeling and sensing that phoenix rising from the ashes. Beautiful alchemy. Until next time, keep shining, sending you all so much love.